My name is Heather Nehring. I'm originally from the United States and based in Munich, Germany, and working throughout Europe online these days. Usually my clients are either living internationally or working internationally or both, and they may be in the private sector or in the public sector. I first came in contact with Paul Sinclair in reference to the PRI inventory. And the initial conversations that we had caught my attention because I became aware of the fact that both Paul and Nadine were attempting to do something that, in my opinion, as a resilience coach, was quite necessary. And first of all, was to take the topic of resilience to a different level, a new level, and to do so not only to provide scores to individuals, but to focus on their development. And I felt that that was something actually quite unique, was not to just look at an evaluation, but to use it as a developmental opportunity to have a snapshot. As I learned more about the PRI, I was also very impressed with what's in the background, the research that's gone into it, and the fact that Paul and Nadine have put the instrument through every imaginable test so as to check their own approaches and get input from other professionals and experts who work with developing instruments such as the PRI. And with that, I felt very confident that it is a tool that can be used in a way for the purpose of helping people move forward in the areas of resilience. I can imagine using the PRI in a variety of different situations. One would be in working with individuals who have approached me and are feeling a need to develop their resilience, to develop their responses to adversity or to challenges, and to give them the opportunity to get that snapshot of where am I right now and how would I like to move forward. Resolving some things along the way in a coaching relationship. It's also interesting, I feel, that you can retake the PRI and get that updated snapshot after you've worked on different issues that are important. The other way I see the PRI being relevant to my work is also in working with organizations. The possibility to use the PRI to get a snapshot of a population within the organization. And while one response may be resilience training, workshops, or coaching, another may just also be to give the organization a different picture, an overall picture based in numbers that they don't have of their employees, and that can also be used to develop a more general response to the current situation for their organization. I find it very interesting to take the approach that is often taken with the PRI, which is using the metaphor of a sailboat. And as you move through different aspects of a sailboat and ask different questions, the person who's taken the PRI is engaged in a different way, moving beyond the standard answers that we give around the topic of how are you doing? How is your resilience? And as an example, with a particular coachee, and this isn't unusual, he works through the metaphor of the sailboat, considering, how is his hull in the water, and how close he is to other boats and what his relationships are to those other boats. Looked at his own results then from the PRI. It was so interesting how he began to understand his own resilience and be able to then identify his own topics that he wanted to address. So that means that as a coach, I can truly support someone's own individual direction because they can start to see it. And their motivation then increases to move forward with it because it's also self-determined. And that's one thing that I really appreciate with the combination of using the instrument, getting the scores, and approaching the conversations through a metaphor. I've been coaching on resilience topics for just about a decade now. And it's something that I truly love and feel is so important for us because adults in a busy world are just often challenged, and we need to be able to work through those challenges and develop beyond them. The certification training for the PRI was truly varied. It was informational, but it was also experiential. And I thought that that was a really useful combination and was mastered by Paul and Nadine Sinclair, who took us through the certification, obviously. So we were given information, we were offered the opportunity to work with the information from some mock PRI results, and we were also asked or given the opportunity to look at our own results and go through a coaching process. I think that generally that, at least for myself, puts me in a different position to then use an instrument or a tool later in my own coaching process. Additionally, the PRI is truly on solid ground. It has a solid foundation based in research and academic papers. Many of those I will not master because that's not my background, but it is a fabulous resource for me to have the academic background associated with the PRI so that I can continue to learn on that level. Working with Paul and Nadine during the certification process was a very nice and also an unusual experience. And why was it unusual? Well, the tool in itself is unusual, but there are a couple of other things that support that experience. One was that they're incredibly well researched and prepared. And they managed to find this very nice mix between giving us background information, talking to us about the science behind the tool, and also making it very personal and very enjoyable. So with this combination, I felt, at least for me personally, that it really gave me an opportunity to learn in a different way, to learn about myself and to learn about the tool. And what I really appreciated was very honest and open feedback that was a part of the certification program. So it was challenging, but also open in the approach. And I think as professionals, we've all been to many certification programs. We've been participants in many workshops, and it was refreshing, and I really enjoyed it. So I'd like to share maybe a reflection or a piece of advice about someone who might be interested in going through the certification process for the PRI. It is a little bit different than other certifications that I've been through as a coach, simply because it's also about you. And it's not just about gathering information and being able to tick the boxes so that you can say that you understand it and you respect the rules and you know how to use it. The certification process is actually also a personal experience. And I find that to be, enlightening, but also challenging. So my suggestion would be make sure that you have the space in your life for a little personal reflection, be ready for it, and know that it's supported as you go through the process.